A very good afternoon to our esteemed speakers, viewers, and participants. A warm welcome to everyone joining us for today's live legal talk show under the broader theme of doing business in Germany and India, opportunities and challenges. My name is Jatin Chaddha, and I am a legal associate at Hammurabi and Solomon Partners, New Delhi, India. And it's my privilege to moderate this insightful discussion on two of the world's rapidly emerging markets, India and Germany. Today's session features an esteemed panel of legal experts who brings with themselves a wealth of knowledge on key factors shaping business growth and success in both the jurisdictions, offering valuable insights into bilateral trade and investment agreements, regulatory frameworks, trade policies, and cross-border compliances. Hence, ensuring a well-rounded discussion on the challenges and strategic considerations necessary for business looking to enter and expand in India and Germany respectively. So, allow me to introduce our distinguished speakers for today's session. We have esteemed panel of speakers, Ms. Shweta Bharti, Managing Partner at Hammurabi and Solomon Partners, India; Mr. Ulrich Herfurth, Managing Partner at Herfurth and Partners, Germany; Ms. Khushboo Kataruka, Partner at Hammurabi and Solomon Partners, India. So let me give a brief overview of the firms to our viewers. Hammurabi and Solomon Partners is a leading full-service law firm established in the year 2001. Over the years, Hammurabi and Solomon Partners has built a reputation for providing comprehensive legal services across a wide spectrum of practice areas. Our core areas of expertise include corporate advisory, mergers and acquisitions, data protection, compliance, litigation, arbitration, insolvency and bankruptcy, public policy, and real estate. We take pride in our team of over 100 plus professionals, including 18 plus experienced partners across Pan India. They bring themselves a diverse legal expertise to the table. Our team operates across multiple regions in India, including Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Jharkhand, Ahmedabad, Chennai, and Hyderabad. Hammurabi and Solomon Partners strives to be at the forefront of legal innovation and provide high-quality legal counsel and representation in complex legal matters. Hammurabi and Solomon Partners ranked amongst the top 15 law firms in India and with over 24 years of rich experience. Hammurabi's journey has been marked by stellar growth and recognition over the past 2 decades. Hammurabi and Solomon Partners and Herfurth and Partners are the part of Alluris Group. Alluris Group is a part of legal network called Alluris Group, having a strong alliance of independent, medium-sized law firms in Europe, USA, Latin America, and Asia, specialized in international business law. The experience of our firms covers the areas of civil, corporate, and commercial law, enabling our clients to achieve their international business goals on a sound legal basis. Alluris firms are conversant with the requirements of international clients. The partners in our firms are experienced in understanding the differing approach of foreign clients to the legal matters and are able to respond to their needs and questions. Often, our lawyers speak several languages and have enjoyed their legal education in several countries. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to invite Mr. Herfurth, Managing Partner at Herfurth and Partners, to introduce his firm, Herfurth and Partners, and tell our viewers more about the Alluris Group. Mr. Herfurth, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation to be with you here online or over the screen and to talk to you and to the interested guests here in this session, in this show. May I introduce our daughter, also a lawyer. We are a family business. This is Antonia. She is active in the IP and IT law, and she will present briefly and describe the activities of our firm.
Sure. Yes, thank you very much. So our firm, Herfurth and Partner, is a medium-sized business law firm. We have 15 lawyers, and we are sitting in Hanover, which is in the northern part of Germany. Our main areas are, well, businesses and markets and technologies. So in our work, we mainly advise businesses in everything actually they might need. So it's corporate law, it's commercial, or they might have employment matters. When it comes to markets, this is what you've already touched. We focus on international law and cross-border cases. So for this, we work strongly with our Alluris network. As you've mentioned, well, my father actually is the chairman of the network of Alluris, and the management is also sitting in our office. And then the third pillar, so to say, is technology. So we focus on digital topics, IT law, artificial intelligence, and well, as currently a lot of legal lawmaking is happening in the EU, we follow this strongly and advise clients and yes. And due to our structure, so we are a medium-sized law firm, our clients are also medium-sized businesses. In Germany, we call this the so-called Mittelstand, and they are active in the, well, very diverse, but in the automotive sector, but also engineering or also the IT software sector. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Herfurth and Miss Antonia, for that introduction. That was quite insightful and helped our viewers and participants to gain insight into the firm's functioning. So before we move ahead, allow me to take you through a brief overview of the webinar, Doing Business in Germany and India, Opportunities and Challenges. Today's session aims to navigate the opportunities and challenges of investing and expanding in world's dynamic economies, that is India and Germany. Through this discussion, our distinguished panel will highlight investment routes, sectoral opportunities, regulatory reforms, labor reforms, tax policies, and strategic considerations that shape business prospects in both the jurisdictions. We look forward to a productive conversation that promotes practical legal cooperation and business alliances between India and Germany, in addition to fostering mutual understanding of regulatory complexities. So now, let's begin the session. India has emerged as one of the fastest growing economies globally, creating a robust and thriving environment for both domestic and foreign investments, and presents vast opportunities for foreign investors. Its growth is driven by the demographic dividend of the world's largest youth population, a 1.4 billion consumer, and initiative reforms like GST, UPI, and PLIs, that is production linked incentives, combined with the investments in the AI, renewables, and infrastructure. With strong growth reforms and massive consumer market, India is poised as one of the most attractive global investment destinations in the coming decade. Foreign investment in India is particularly facilitated through two routes, automatic route and government route. Under the automatic route, no prior approval is required from the government and investors are only required to notify the RBI after the investment is made. This route covers sectors such as automobile, manufacturing, agriculture, and IT sectors. Investment in these sectors may be structured through wholly owned subsidiaries, joint ventures, branch offices, or special purpose vehicles. On the other hand, government route mandates prior approval from the concerned ministry or the RBI, primarily for the sensitive sectors like defense sector, aviation sector, media, telecommunications, and banking. Investment structures here include venture capital, funds, joint ventures, branch offices, and special purpose vehicles. In addition to FDI, foreign investors also have the option of participating in Indian markets through foreign institutional investors, that is FIIs, or foreign portfolio investments, that is FPIs, by purchasing stocks, bonds, and derivatives. As far as India is concerned, major sectors to invest in India are energy, automotive, tourism, and hospitality. These all sectors are available on the screen. Technology, banking and finance, manufacturing, FMCG, IT with special emphasis on AI, data privacy and cyber security, infrastructure, semiconductors, health, and pharmaceuticals. As far as Germany is concerned, major sectors to invest in Germany are energy and automotive, healthcare, pharmaceutical, technology, and semiconductors. So all of these sectors make both the jurisdiction, that is India and Germany, a dynamic and attractive investment destination. So basically, the government of India has launched several key initiatives such as National Infrastructure Pipeline, Make in India Initiative, Free Trade Agreements, Startup India Scheme, Production Linked Incentive Scheme, Viksit Bharat, and several other initiatives to strengthen its economic growth and attract foreign investments more in India. Collectively, these initiatives create a favorable, I would say, favorable ecosystem for both the domestic and foreign investors, driving inclusive and sustainable development in India. Today, Germany stands as one of the world's leading economies and a major destination for global investment. The German economy is highly diversified, with the service sector contributing nearly 70% of the country's GDP, underscoring its role as a backbone of economic activity. With the Germany's advanced industrial base, strong export orientation, and robust services sector, Germany offers a stable and competitive environment for investors worldwide. Germany offers multiple investment routes for both domestic and foreign investors. Direct and foreign direct investment remains a primary route, enabling foreign companies to establish operations, subsidiaries, or joint ventures within Germany. Real estate investment is also another attractive option with Germany's stable property market. In addition, financial market investments, including equities, bonds, and other securities, is another route by which foreign investors can invest in Germany, which provide investors access to one of Europe's most dynamic and regulated financial hubs. Beyond these, other investment options such as venture capital, private equity, etc., further expand opportunities for investors. Collectively, these routes highlight Germany's position as a secure, competitive, and versatile investment destination. So what we can say that today trade relations between India and Germany have witnessed significant remarkable growth. Both nations share a strong commitment to the green transition with joint interest in renewables, energy efficiency and climate action. Additionally, both countries are aligning their long-term interest in defense, semiconductors and emerging technologies, underscoring a shift towards a deeper strategic partnership rather than merely transactional trade growth. India and Germany today share a strong economic synergy marked by mutual benefits and future collaborations. Over 200 companies are operating in Germany across diverse sectors. Germany has also contributed to India's development through institutes of excellence. Looking ahead, both the nations have established various mechanisms such as fast track mechanisms, that is FTMs, Make in India Middle Stand MIM program, etc., to pave the way for a deeper Indo-German partnership. So now let's take the discussion forward. Now let's deep dive into the discussion, hear from our expert panelist, and explore the intricacies of sectoral opportunities, regulatory labor reforms, and tax policies and strategic considerations that shape business prospects in both the jurisdictions. Now I would like to call upon Ms. Bharti to enlighten our viewers about what regulatory advantages are available to foreign investors in view of the India's progress in ease of doing business, and how have special economic zones, that is SEZs, and the national infrastructure pipeline reshaped investment dynamics. So Ms. Bharti, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jatin. I think you have made our lives much easier. You have covered almost everything. I think me and Mr. Herfurth would have very little to add on after your very detailed, discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
But yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Herfurth, for accepting our invitation to collaborate on this webinar. I think India and Germany has been, alliance or partners for a very long time, and I think it was time for us to take our, discussion further in terms of the newer, changes which have been brought in within the German regime as well as in the Indian regime, and to be able to explain to all the participants of this webinar and also to our viewers on what are the things that are in the pipeline in order to facilitate the investments into each other's countries. So it was with that thought in mind that we thought that you would be the best person or the best team to be able to do this collaboration, because knowing you, knowing your firm, and working with you a little more closely, we know your in-depth understanding and your kind of wide network and your deeper relationship with the policymakers and the government, which facilitates our ability to be able to, do business with you. And therefore, it definitely makes a lot of sense to have this webinar with you. Now, coming to this question that you have posed, Jatin, I think we have to look at, and you have correctly mentioned that the India's FDI route has seen a remarkable reform in the last few years. And 90% of our sectors are now under the automatic route, which has removed the need for any kind of a prior government approval and has enabled the foreign entities an easier or a faster market access. And if we look at the India and Germany, they share a very strong business and regulatory ties, which is evident in our robust trade and investment flows, in our strategic partnerships in various sectors. Primarily, I see that on the renewables, energy, technology, and a series of bilateral agreements, which has aimed to foster the German small and medium-sized enterprises market entry into India. And while the Indian companies have also made, in fact, significant investments in Germany. So both the countries are working to deepen the economic cooperation enhance more talent mobility, and facilitate better business and investment climates for mutual benefit. And if you look at it, Germany has been a very significant investor in India, with the German companies who have been operating in automobiles, I think, has been traditionally there. Renewable energy and defense has been traditionally there. So India is also a growing market for the German expertise as well as the products. And now there are newer areas that both the nations are focusing on, primarily on green hydrogen, on innovation, on technology, on sustainability, and the smart cities to drive the future collaboration and economic growth. In fact, the Indian companies are also making substantial investments in Germany, and that is particularly, you have mentioned correctly, is in IT, in automotive, in pharmaceuticals, building on the strong Indo-German joint ventures and collaborations. In fact, the intergovernmental consultations which happen regularly, these meetings between the governments of India and Germany, they have provided a very high level forum to discuss and strengthen the bilateral cooperation across various sectors for that matter. You also, I think, mentioned about the MLAT, the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty that has been entered into, wherein the criminal matter which are emerging between the two jurisdictions, they have, in fact, provided a way to facilitate the information and evidence sharing between the two countries to combat crime, include terrorism, to provide comprehensive support to the German SMEs, including the market entry assistance, strategy consulting, market studies, location analysis, procurement support. So I think a lot has been done in that regard as well. Then there is also, in fact, something called an agreement on exchange and mutual protection of classified information, which agreement has established a legal framework for handling the classified information between the two nations. Then we have also entered into a migration and mobility partnership, which agreement addresses the cooperation on the matters of migration and the movement of people. I'll talk about it a little more in detail further. Then there are various, joint declarations of intent and the memorandum of understanding which have been signed between the two countries in order to strengthen the collaboration in the areas of occupational safety, employment, labor, medical product regulations, and skill development. You also spoke about the Make in India Mittelstand program. I think Antonia spoke about the Mittelstand program. That is primarily the initiative from the Indian Embassy in Germany to provide the market entry support and the information on policies and network for the German MSMEs who are looking to invest and operate in India. And that program, in fact, provides a very comprehensive support to the German SMEs, and also provides for the market entry assistance. I think the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce has been facilitating these ties with the MIIM program, supporting the German MSMEs in India. So, and then also about the regulatory cooperation, which has been extended to specific regulatory areas, like the exchange of information between India and the Central Drugs Standard and Control Organization, which we call it as CDSCO, and the German regulatory bodies for the medical product regulations. So that is one part of the work that is being done. Then there is also something called the DPIIT Germany Fast Track Mechanism, which is like a bilateral red carpet escalation channel for the German companies to resolve the investment bottlenecks with the Indian authorities. I think that's also mirrored by the German side FTM for the Indian firms, and it has increased the speed with which the licenses are given to the German companies in India. And this, in fact, this FTM, the DPIIT Germany FTM, refers to a very collaborative bilateral initiative between the Indian Department for Promotion of Industry and Bilateral Trade, DPIIT, and the German Ministry for Economic Affairs, Energy, I think they call it BMWI, to resolve the issues faced by companies operating in each other's markets. So I think in terms, this in fact, it comprises of two key components. One is a mechanism for the German companies in India, overseen by the German embassy, and a similar system for the Indian companies in Germany, managed by the Indian embassy in coordination with DPIIT and some of the relevant Indian ministries as well. So these mechanisms have facilitated, I think, the communication and action to address challenges related to investments, market access, and other business operations as well. Then if you look at the EU-India FTA and the investment protection talks which are ongoing, and I think once it gets concluded, it would streamline the tariff standards and investment protections. Then there is something which has also been additionally introduced, which is Pan-India Faceless Assessment and ICE Gate, which is Indian Customs Electronic Gateway, which has upgraded its systems, and it is very a crucial government reform to reduce the customs clearance times and the discretionary practices. Thereby, it supports the concept of just-in-time supply chains, which is JIT supply chains, by ensuring a timely and a predictable delivery of goods. And because it is faceless, so the faceless assignment assigns the customs scrutiny to the officers remotely, and thereby it has in fact helped in terms of increased efficiency, and also brought in a certain amount of transparency. And I think it also is, IceGate is also, it provides for a single window for trade. And that has in fact helped in terms of enhancing the speed and reliability in the cross-border trade as well. So if we look at how has the JIT supply chain impacted, primarily it has reduced the time that it used to take because of the digitization and the automated processes. It has reduced the time that it used to take for the customs clearance, and I think that's something which has brought in a certain amount of transparency and speed. Then if you look at the RBI firms portal, they have also in fact brought in a foreign investment reporting and management system, which has been developed by the RBI for companies to report foreign investment related transactions. And that has been done through a single master form. So I think that has again, facilitated the process and has reduced the time that it used to take in terms of, processing the entire information. And it has reduced the entire time frame that it used to take for the whole purpose in that sense. Then there is also something which is revised overseas investment of 2022 regime, which has a clearer rules, broader permissions, which include OI FDI structures with defined layering, and it requires fewer prior approvals, and it has been helpful for the Indian companies doing outbound M&A or JV structures with the German companies. This move has in fact enhanced the ease of doing business and to bring more clarity and transparency in undertaking also the overseas investments into India. So I think some of these processes have really been extremely helpful. Then the introduction of the national single window system, which is a digital front door to identify and apply for the central state approvals and aids in identifying and applying for your approvals according to the business requirement. This whole process basically includes the guidance for 32 central departments and 34 states. So because of it, it has actually eased the, ease of doing business has probably, increased a little bit more. And the online building permission system and foreign investment facilitation portal has also, in fact, brought in a certain amount of transparency and digital processing of the investment approvals. It has reduced bureaucracy and transaction time for that matter substantially. Then the adoption of the digitized trade processes and upgraded port logistics has also drastically, in fact, streamlined the international trade, slashing the permit cost from say 23 point some percent to 5.4% of the per capita income. And it has reduced the supply chain cost from 14% to around 9% of the GDP. Then if you look at the regulatory architecture, it supports a certain amount of flexibility through diverse investment structures. And you mentioned about automatic route. The government approval route also is only limited now to the sensitive sectors. And then some sector-specific incentives with sectoral caps, which have assured both liberalization and is primarily necessary for the national interest protection in that sense. The other advantage is also about, you mentioned about the special economic zones. So they are primarily designed as an integrated investment hubs, and they offer full income tax exemption on export profits for the first 5 years, partial for the next 5 years, making them magnets for logistics and manufacturing businesses. In fact, we are seeing an import of inputs into SEZs is exempted from customs duties and substantially has reduced the operational cost for the foreign manufacturers and traders. if you look at the key SEZs, the examples are Gift City in Gujarat, the Major Jones in Chennai, NSEZ, Ennore. They all demonstrate a world-class infrastructure and regulatory ease, facilitating seamless integration with the global supply chains. Then the PM Gati Shakti, which also leverages the GIS platforms across 16 ministries. It enables the multimodal transport planning, optimizing logistics networks, reducing the implementation delays and redundancies. Then you also spoke about the national infrastructure pipeline. This covers about 1.5 trillion in projects, providing transparent and government-backed investment opportunities, predictable revenue streams, and robust bidding frameworks. Then we also have the digitally enabled logistics policies, national logistics policy, unified logistics interference platform. They have reduced the compliance backlogs substantially, and it has enhanced the cross-border operational clarity for the foreign investors. So I think these are some of the reforms which have transformed the India's logistics and manufacturing landscape, and it has made it globally competitive in the investment destinations. So we are, I mean, of course, we will talk about the labor reforms also, which have been brought in and has actually made it more easier for the immigrant foreign labor also to come into India. I think we'll talk about it a little later. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bharti, for highlighting the regulatory advantages that ease of doing business reforms have created for foreign investors. Your insights on the role of special economic zones, various mechanisms such as fast-track mechanisms, Make in India Mittelstand program, and the national infrastructure pipeline in reshaping logistics and manufacturing investments gave us a clear picture of India's evolving investment landscape. So with this, let's take the discussion further. Mr. Herfurth, could you please shed some light on the aspect that how do Germany's regulations differ from India's in areas like ease of doing business, foreign investment, company incorporation, tax benefits, and how does Germany's legal framework offer an edge to investors? Mr. Herfurth, over to you, please.
Yeah, many thanks. First, thanks to you, Shweta, for this really comprehensive overview of the situation in India. We really like this, and in particular because we have experienced a very, very good collaboration just in spring when we have set up together, not you and we, but together a joint venture company of one of our clients in India. He was very happy with the cooperation and very happy with the services of your firm. And this is a lively example how it could work. It's not a new contact because the parties, they knew each other for years and there was a lot of trust. So our legal advice that we gave was based on the trust between the parties. And this means that the cooperation between Indian and German business people, also people, is so important, and it really works, and it's closer than many people would expect. So this is my personal background, and yes, we work with India for meanwhile more than 20 years. I think my first visit was in the early 2000s. At that time, with a delegation of a politician who later became the federal president of Germany. So this was a nice first step to India. And then we continued to have the contacts, and we helped German companies to do their business in India and vice versa. We helped Indian companies with their interest in Germany. So yeah, to the questions, you have a nice bundle of questions, so to say. Maybe we follow it in smaller steps. You had asked me you had asked me some questions before, and the first was about the stability. What was it exactly?
Well, it was about the Germany's stability and the legal framework as an advantage, as a competitive advantage. So
yeah, this is a part of the package you had asked. Yeah, and in fact, Germany is a country that has a strong legal basis, and compared to other countries in the world, similar to India, and this is very much welcome and valued by investors. because the party-to-party disputes and conflicts, but also party-to-the-state conflicts, you can overlap this. They are you will have a court decision, yeah. We were also asked about the question, how do German investors see the Indian SEZs, and they are in principle happy because we have a better labor cost arbitrage, and compared to other countries, it could be go a little bit quicker sometimes. The bureaucratic aspects are not always easy, but in the end, one gets through, and then people are happy and they can rely on the decision of the public authorities as well. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, then I simply continue. So Germany is ranking as number 5 of 142 globally of the World Justice Project Index. You see it here on the screen, and we have a lot of legal rules that are respected and have to be respected, and we are in the single market. The sovereign strength in Germany means we have a AAA credit rating, which is quite good because the central bank has a good standing, and the business bank, the commercial banks have also a good standing, and this is good for the financing of projects. However, it's not always easygoing. Banks are critical. They have to fulfill many compliance requirements. Sometimes it's a mess. It's always a package of many papers. But in principle, the financing situation is quite good, also for medium-sized companies. For new companies, whether they come from Germany, India, or any other country, it's of course a new starting, and the banks have an eye on everything. So, what is also very important is that Germany is a part of the European Union. So you have access through Germany to the whole European market for goods, for services, and also for free movement of persons, depending on the type of visa. Okay. So good infrastructure, and rather good infrastructure, good train connection, etc. So you can easily go from A to B within Europe, and Germany is quite in the middle. So it's a good traffic connection. Okay, maybe the next picture. For Indian companies, it is important that Germany offers relatively easy access. So in principle, there are no restrictions on ownership. I mean, you can buy a property, you can buy shares, you can establish a new company. But there are some restrictions on sensitive industries. And it means that if you acquire, for example, 10% in the company that produces weapons or military products, defense products, or other sensitive things regarding the infrastructure or so, then you have to report. And again, at several thresholds. And in the end, of course, when you take over the majority. This is a screening, and it's not very often, but sometimes it happens that the federal office says, "Oh, sorry, this is not possible." Yeah, it's part of the Ministry for Economy. Yeah, and then we have a rather lean company formation process. You have to register your company. This is what you would say it's a private limited company. We have a limited company, a company with limited liability, GmbH. You need only one shareholder. You don't need two, like in India. A shareholder can be the managing director, what you would call as the board. And then we have it's a very safe system because we have a public register. And when a company is registered, once it's registered, all the data that are shown in the register are to be considered as correct and true. And this is good for any kind of transactions. Then there is some national and some state aid, and state aid means in this sense the states of the German Federation. It depends on the structure of the region. When the region is weak and needs workplaces, then you get more incentives and you get more subsidies than in other places. Or when it's about research and development, and in particular, the focus is on advanced technology. So it was not Infineon, but an American manufacturer of chips was offered 10 billion subsidy for a new factory here in the north, which did not happen because it was Intel, because Intel had some difficulties itself, so they didn't start the factory. So we are about chips, AI, all the new things are welcome, of course, and important. And what's also important, we have a quite good social system here. This means we have a good balance between employers and unions. The way of fighting about tariffs is not polite, but in the end, it's reasonable. Yeah, it's not unreasonable. So this helps to have a stable situation in the company. You have no tariff wars between employer and employees, different from France, for example. Yeah, so, and the next point is what is also related to regulatory framework. The word compliance and the requirements for compliance are very broad, because compliance means have everything under law and order, so to say, and you simply have the rule of law. Some key aspects are the banking and the anti-money laundering rules, which is very bureaucratic, also affects us ourselves as lawyers. We have two laws, a German one and a European one, about compliance in the supply chain. Data protection is a little bit like in India, but it's broader. India is more flexible, as we have learned. Then important now, the AI Act that classifies different types of AI into dangerous, forbidden, dangerous, critical, and harmless, so to say. And then we have a Data Act that allows and entitles the user of a system, for example, of a platform, to get his own data out of the platform. Yeah, and environment and social governance is much important. And in the end, it's always about product liability. If a product is not safe and the person is violated, then the person has a claim, and it's independent from whether it was a fault of the company or not. Yeah, if the product has a defect, a technical defect, then it's liable. And also the importer of goods is liable. the manufacturer and the importer. So this is but a clear framework. And again, regarding the access for Indian businesses, for all business, but also for Indian business, of course, the Indian automatic route has no longer a prior approval of many sectors, but still in some. And what I already had mentioned in Germany, it's the other way around. But if you enter into an agreement that is sensitive and would be controlled, the public authority could step into the contract and forbid to bring it into force. Yeah, and then we have merger controls. This is the background is competition law. If you have a new or worldwide a new a merger that eliminates the competition, or somebody has become too strong, then this would fall onto the merger control. For example, if a company like Microsoft would buy another company in the market and would SAP, for example, then this would be certainly considered as unacceptable. So, but on the medium-sized level, this is no point, no matter. Yeah, and company formation, very practical. You have to go to the notary. If you are not here in Germany, but in India, you can sign several documents in India, but the formation as such has to be made in front of a German notary. It's not that complicated, has to be prepared very well, but it's not complicated. The minimum capital is 25,000 euros, but you can only pay in 12,500. And the nominal amount is 25,000, and you have to pay in first at least 12,500. There is a small limited format as well. We need no minimum capital anymore. It can be done in 2 to 4 weeks. Interesting, also foreigners are accepted as managing directors. Of course, also Indians. The requirement is they should not be, or they must not be prohibited from having a visa. Yeah, this will be controlled. A managing director who cannot enter the country because he is excluded from getting visas, then he cannot be the managing director. But any other is possible. One managing director is sufficient. Different from the Indian situation and the Indian law, shareholders can also in detail instruct the managing director, or if you have several, say the board. This is different. Yeah? Shareholders have much more daily power than the Indian shareholders, and Germans often don't understand the Indian situation and have the wrong structure. Not in our case that we had together, because we know the system. In Germany, you can have a subject of the company. You can describe it, and you can do anything what supports the subject. Yeah, and you even can do other things. This is a valid transaction towards third parties or counterparts, but internally, a managing director who trades with real estate instead of manufacturing machines, for example, he would held liable if he does this. Yeah, and licenses are usually not necessary. You don't need to be accepted to start your business. In some industries, this is the case. For example, if it has to do with health, you cannot start a clinic without having a doctor, etc., etc. Also in certain industrial areas, it's the same. Yeah, and I think this was everything regarding the legal framework. And I think you have further questions, maybe? No sound?
Jatin, you are muted, so I think you're speaking, but you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Herfurth. You have completed all the things that I have asked you. And thank you once again for highlighting the comparative perspective between Germany and India. Your insights on Germany's legal framework and its edge for investors add great value to our today's discussion. With that, let's take the discussion forward. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Khushboo Kataruka to enlighten our viewers on how have GST and recent corporate tax cuts shaped foreign investment strategies and tax planning for multinationals in India, and how might India's tax framework for further evolve to support emerging business. So models such as platform economy, decentralized manufacturing, and cross-jurisdictional research and development collaborations. Ms. Kataruka, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jatin. It's a pleasure to join this discussion and add my insight to this. And starting with the goods and services tax that is implemented in India in the year 2017, it's unified India's fragmented state and central tax regime into a single nationwide market, abolishing cascading taxes and enabling easier interstate operations for foreign businesses. And GST's IT-enabled compliance system, such as returns, e-invoicing, and automated input tax credit matching, has drastically cut the administrative and litigation burden, facilitating strategic tax planning for multinational corporations. In fact, the corporate tax were landmark since 2019. New manufacturing units enjoy the world's lowest rates at 15%. And some for other domestic companies, the rate is 22%, boosting India's attractiveness for foreign direct investors. In fact, faceless tax assessments and digital appeals with very strong anti-abuse provisions, such as revised transfer pricing regulation, assure predictability and reduce discretionary risk, often cited by global investors. There are few sectoral incentives such as 100% tax holidays for export profits and SEZs, major R&D reductions for technology and pharma, and in fact, there's a removal of equalization levies on the specified digital e-commerce transactions, further simplifying the cost equation for strategic global investment. GST, so to say, especially incentivizes platform economy models and decentralized manufacturing, regional R&D collaboration, supporting modern businesses strategies, and enabling ease of expansion in India's growing digital and industrial sectors. These reforms demonstrate India's policy commitment to competitiveness and signal to foreign investors that India is not only a market, but a cost-efficient production base. Moreover, GST underpins cutting-edge business models, platform economy enterprises, decentralized manufacturers, and R&D hubs with its unified compliance structure, enabling cross-jurisdictional scaling without state-wise complexity. We can also look at the evolving policy architecture, including e-invoicing, digital returns, faceless audit processes. These policies encourage innovation, removal of equalization levies for key non-resident e-commerce transaction positions, and India favorably against global competition. In fact, there are some major R&D oriented sectors which benefit from special tax incentives and streamlined compliance, making India highly competitive for technology, biotech, and engineering investments, where flexibility and regulatory certainty are crucial for scaling up. In fact, can I have the next slide, please? Yes. In fact, there's an Indo-German double taxation avoidance agreement, which reduces withholding taxes, example on royalties, fees, and prevents double taxation, which is very vital for HQ intercompany pricing, IP licensing, and shared service models. So overall, if we see, so the GST system that has come in the year 2017 has been very, very instrumental for promoting these foreign investments and major foreign players coming to India. Jatin, I think I have answered these questions. Is there any question which is from the audience in this regard? Or else we can move further to the next question.
Yes, ma'am, we can move further, ma'am. So
Thank
thank
you.
you, ma'am. Thank you for that comprehensive perspective on the interplay of GST and corporate tax reforms with emerging business models. Your insights have certainly highlighted how India's evolving tax regime impacts both foreign investment strategies and future opportunities. With that, let me now move on to Ms. Bharti. Miss Bharti, could you please apprise our viewers how our labor reforms and social security measures strengthened workforce formalization and investor confidence, and what reforms in immigration laws are required to align with the evolving FDI and workforce mobility needs? Ms. Bharti, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Jatin. I think I'll keep it short considering the time that we have. So, if you look at the Indian landscape, almost about 50 crore workers are in the organized and unorganized sector of the country. So, a majority of these workers, say almost about 90% of them, are in the unorganized sector. So that is where it was required that we have a law which again, comes out with a consolidation of the various laws that we have at the moment on the labor laws. And therefore, I think it was a few years back that the government decided to consolidate about 29 such statutes into 4 comprehensive labor codes. And that has eased compliance burden also on the company, though I think we are waiting for the implementation of that labor code. But largely, once the structure is in place, I think we are, halfway through in that sense. So that is one very important major milestone that we have been able to cover. The other is also about the one registration, one license, one return system, which replaces the earlier labyrinth of dual registers, of multiple annual filings and sectoral documentation. And it has also, in fact, digitally unified the compliance for businesses and has, again, it has drastically reduced the administrative cost in that sense. So the threshold for the layoff and retrenchment that required the government approval has been raised from 100 to 300 workers, and that has empowered the larger employers to adapt to workforce size according to the market cycles, and that has boosted confidence about the exit strategies in the unpredictable environments. Then fixed-term employments is also now legally recognized, safeguarding the business agility while balancing the workers' rights, and has made India an appealing for the project-based or seasonal operations in sectors, say logistics, construction, or tech startups. The other is also about India has expanded the social security to cover the gig workers, the platform workers, and employees in the unorganized sector, supporting broad workforce formalization and ensured long-term sustainability, supporting the broad workforce formalization and ensuring long-term sustainability for the foreign employers. Then the social security agreement with the Germany that also stands out, freeing the posted workers from paying dual social contributions, guaranteeing the benefit portability, and simplifying compliance for Indo-German operations. These provisions have directly cut costs and bureaucratic complexity and has boosted the cross-border workforce in that mobility and investor confidence also in that sense. The other very important element of the change that has been brought in is primarily the which is, I would say it is a legislative reform in that sense, which has transformed the country's immigration framework, which is introduction of India's Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025. It's a recent introduction in April of 2025 and seeks to modernize and consolidate the existing legal framework by replacing 4 outdated pre-independence era laws, including the Foreigners Act of 1946 and the Passport Entry into India Act of 1920. Now, this act seeks to include the digitization of the visa issues, registration, monitoring processes, simplification of visa procedures to facilitate easier travel and residence for tourists, students, for business professionals, for skilled workers. And this also aims to simplify and strengthen the immigration procedures for authorized foreign nationals, including the investors, by creating a clear, up-to-date system for their entry, stay, and exit in India. So India has in fact offered, pathways for, honestly, I personally feel that it has offered pathways for investors to reside in the country. And in fact, it also has provided, say, for an example, an investor who's based, it's an investor-based program, may require the investment of a minimum amount of, say, 10 crore or 25 crore within a certain time frame. And along with that, the creation of a specified number of jobs for the Indian citizens as well. Then it also provides for the immigration framework, provides for various types of visas and permits, including those for business and investment purposes, which are essential for the foreign individuals to engage in commercial activities in India. It has, by setting up the clear rules and requirements for foreign nationals, including investors, this act, in fact, has aimed to facilitate the seamless entry and presence of those contributing to Indian economy and development. And I think this in itself is a path-breaking effort that has been taken by the Indian government in order to, facilitate or complement the India's liberalized FDI and labor policies and unlock the workforce mobility and strategic skill migration, especially for the key factors for capital intensive and innovation driven sectors. So I think some of these changes that I would really want to bring to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bharti, for that comprehensive response on how labor reforms and social security measures are driving workforce formalization and strengthening investor confidence. Your thoughts have indeed enriched today's discussion, ma'am. With this, let us now proceed further. Mr. Herfurth, could you please shed some light on what challenges do Indian companies face in Germany? How open is Germany for Indian professionals? And what role do social security agreements play? And which sector holds the most promising sector for Indian companies to invest in Germany? Mr. Herfurth, over to you, sir.
Yeah, first, many thanks again for the description of the and the report about the eases in the Indian legal framework regarding employment. This was always a little bit complicated, like in many countries, and also Germany is complicated. What is important for you and for Indian investors or companies is that Indian investments are much welcome. And investment doesn't only mean money, it also means persons, skilled persons. We have even a law, a specific law, it's the Germany's Skilled Immigration Act. And we don't provide a green card, but a blue card, because the European flag is blue. And the blue card means it's a kind of special visa where you can where you are accepted on a quicker way to have the work permit in Germany and also mostly in Europe. This is good. The process is not that smooth as one wants to have it. We are still trying to improve it. But once being here, it's very helpful. And in fact, Indian skilled workers, I mean, IT people, etc., they are much welcome here. And we see a little shift in the trend. The American dream was also, as I understand, for many Indian IT people, very important. Now, the American president has several new ideas. For example, one should pay for bringing in its know-how. It's really an innovation. This is not so in Germany, and many scientists and academics are interested now more in the German and the European market than in the American market. It's more comfortable. The culture has changed a little bit. What is important, and Shweta, you have already described this, we have a double taxation agreement, we have a double social security agreement, and this helps much it brings a lot of flexibility. Yeah, this is this point. And the economy, well, what is interesting? Everybody talks about climate, environment, and energy. We have a huge agenda on on saving energy, on protecting the environment, etc. And this means we are changing from the traditional carbonate sources to wind and sun, etc. So the technology changes, and the grid technology changes has a lot to do with IT in the end, with the right software. But the e-cars one was a little bit over expected, and now it's the demand is not that big as one should expect. Then hydrogen plays a role, and India can produce hydrogen because you have good sources and you can convert it. You can convert wind and electricity to hydrogen and others. And this could be an interesting area for investment. The automotive supply chain, this is also our example that we had in spring. The company that in the end, it's a tier 2 to tier 3 supplier for automotive parts. Infrastructure is also maybe interesting. But on the next slide, we would see it. The export and the import, the exchange between the two countries shows where the major areas of growth and prosperity are. For example, what people maybe here don't know that much, a very strong pharmaceutical industry in India. Generics are much important, and they could be invested, they could be exported to Europe as well. And of course, everything that has to do with IT. Maybe the next picture shows 3 or 4 sectors. Yeah, we have the green transition. We have industrial decarbonization. Yeah, we want to have secure supply chains. We are in the middle of digital and mobility transitions. One could co-locate research and development in Germany and India, so to get some researching the subsidies. And the manufacturing and the value chains are important for automation and also for other kinds of supply chains. Maybe the next picture. Yeah, we are already at the last quick checklist. What could we propose, because our time is spent a little bit more. So use Germany for the access into the European Union. I believe the European Union it is driven to go forward, yeah, in the world competitive situation, the global competitive situation. Carefully select the region where you want to establish your new business if you are interested in state subsidies. Then screen the foreign direct, whether the investment, whether it has to be fired or not. Look whether you can receive a tax credit, which is a subsidy in the end for research and development, and then obtain the Indian certificate, the COC, to avoid double taxation security contributions. These are just a few. We could extend this list to also other questions we have, and I may mention this. Shweta, we have a joint checklist for investments in both directions, from Germany to India and from India to Germany. And if you follow these checklists, then it saves a lot of time and a lot of effort, and of course, in the end, of course, because the approach is really structured.
All right.
Yeah. I hope I have answered your questions.
Jatin, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Herfurth, for sharing your perspective on the challenges Indian companies face in Germany as well as the opportunities for professionals and the importance of social security agreements, and for highlighting the key opportunities for Indian investors in Germany, and for sharing your views on the future of Indo-German trade. With that, let us proceed further, ma'am. So how will the so now I would like to call Miss Kataruka. So Ms. Kataruka, could you please apprise our participants how will the convergence of India's rapid economic growth, government reforms, large consumer base, and skilled workforce redefine its global investment position in the coming decade, ma'am? So Ms. Kataruka, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jatin. In fact, that's a very interesting question here. And we are very positive with regard to the projection that India has. There is a projection that India would be ascending to the world's third largest economy with a GDP of about 7.3 trillion US dollars by the year 2030. And is driven by one of the fastest growing consumer markets where rising middle class aspirations are fueling demand for advanced products and services. In fact, the policy thrusts of the government, such as Make in India and Startup India, combine single window investor clearance with fiscal incentives, driving FDI in high growth sectors like electronic manufacturing, automotive, green energy, fintech, IT services, and there are many more such sectors. In fact, India's export activity has surged to approximately 825 billion US dollars in financial year 24-25, marking a 76% increase over the past decade, with significant growth in manufacturing, services, IT, marine sectors. And these all are a very good reinforcement for the country's strategic relevance in global supply chains. In fact, India's STEM-driven workforce offers foreign companies technical expertise, scale and cost advantage. Further reforms are there also that we can see in areas like education and professional mobility support, and the influx of global talent from innovation-heavy sectors. In fact, the production-linked incentive schemes offer lucrative financial incentives to eligible foreign manufacturers, helping them scale operations and integrate locally while leveraging global supply linkages. And these converging strengths, market size, government reforms, and skilled labor are central to India's emergence as a global investment destination. So that's how I would want to showcase as a growth catalyst for India in the forthcoming years, Jatin.
Thank you, Ms. Kataruka, for sharing your
Thank you.
perspective on how India's growth, reforms, market potential, and skilled workforce together strengthen its global investment positioning. Your insights provided a compelling outlook on the opportunities ahead. So with this, we formally conclude today's webinar. So thank you to all the speakers. By this, we come to the end of the session. We acknowledge the participation of our viewers through the YouTube platform. However, due to paucity of time, we won't be able to take the questions right now. However, we will be reverting to those questions through the concerned platform. So thank you to our esteemed panelists for their insights and to our audience for their engagement. Today's discussion highlighted the immense business opportunities existing between both the jurisdictions, that is India and Germany, and the importance of cross-border collaboration. We hope this session provided valuable takeaways for your venture. Wishing you all the success. Thank you so much to all our participants for taking out your precious time and attending this session. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the
Thanks,
speakers.
Jatin. Thank you for your efficient moderation. Thank you, Mr. Herfurth. Thank you, Antonia. Thank you, Khushboo. It was actually very, very interesting and insightful. So thank you.
Many thanks for the invitation, and we should continue this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Many thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.